Hello everybody, my name is Chris, and today we're looking at Reaper. And Reaper is one of my more favorite DPS characters to go with, because he's just fun. I'll just say it, he's fun. You know, his gimmick of getting health whenever he attacks is really fun. I like his overall concept, and I like the fact that the community on the whole has memed him to stop being like an edgelord. Like, they've done, like, you know, it's raining men whenever he does his death blossom. That's just so funny to me. But yeah, like, he's fun. I like him. Let's look at his base skin. A lot of black, a lot of gray. It's appropriately like a 13-year-old's OC, but really that's the kind of the point. Not a lot to go with on this. You know, a lot of his skins are pretty basic, although some of those do that better than others, but we'll get there. But yeah, his classic is pretty good. Next up, looking at Midnight. And the reason Midnight is here is because, when I think of Midnight, I don't think blue. I think pitch black, but his base skin was already that, so it's kind of pointless. This seems more like, you know, right after the sun sets kind of thing. That kind of bluish black. But it's whatever. Next up, we have Royal, and the reason Royal is third best is because, well, purple, especially this shade of purple, doesn't really work the way they want it to. It's nice, but it could have been better. Could have been a little more dark, I think. But next up is Blood, and he looks like Dante from Devil May Cry. That's really all I gotta say about it. He just looks like Dante, and that's just kind of funny. Like, they kind of memed it by accident, I think. Last up is Moss, and again, it's a green skin. We all know this about me, but what puts it over the top is that it's an appropriately dark enough color for it to make sense. It's just the right shade of dark. It's not too light, it's not too blackish green. This one's just, you know, a nice mossy green, and it works on him. His worst one is Labo, Nintendo Labo, I don't know. Just, I will say one thing before I get into the critique itself. The fact that the feathers are, you know, ethereal and they're just kind of fading in and out of existence at the tips is really fucking cool. However, the rest of this is just a little bit too samey and too, well, like every other Lunar skin, over-designed. It's like they keep adding more shit to this for it to be more interesting, and it just doesn't work. Just, the simpler the outfit normally, the better the outcome. Again, look at the Farah skin I did yesterday. You know, enchanted armor was best because it was so simple. This is just too much. Next up is Biker, and I get that they're going for, like, you know, the Daredevil persona where, you know, it's bright and colorful to match the aesthetic of the lifestyle, but why the fuck is it BMX bright orange? Like, was he sponsored? Who sponsored him? Talon? Orange and yellow is a good color on him, I'll say that, but Jesus Christ. Next up is Plague Doctor, and this is what I mean when I say this is that green in this game can be very bad. Because it's very, for lack of a better term, sickly. Which is the point. It's a Plague Doctor. But really, it's just, we'll get to this later, but the skin that this is copying is better. They just needed another one that matched it for the loot boxes, and those are the worst skins of all in my mind, because they're just lazy. They just took an existing one that was good and just recolored it to be worse. Next up, we have White. Give you 3 guesses why this is bad. You guessed it, it's white. And that doesn't work on Reaper that well. It's a good reskin, but this should have been just a normal reskin, not, you know, a legendary one. Next up is Desert. Again, it's just a reskin, and that's boring. I mean, good on him for tactical camouflage, but I don't have much to say. It's just camouflage. Next up is Dracula, and the main reason I don't like Dracula is because he looks like a balding middle-aged man. Like, just an old skeleton. Just like, I'm going to die soon. Like Voldemort, just like, I'm going to die soon, Harry Potter. And anyway, it's pretty okay. It's got good embellishment. I like the little fringes and all that, but I'm sorry, Voldemort just doesn't do it for me. I'm sorry. Next up is Soldier 24, and the only reason this one's in the middle is because it looks like they took Soldier's younger skin and just made it blackish for Reaper, which might have been the point because they were in the same battalion, I think, at one point. You know, lore and all that. Although I kind of understand the whole thing with people shipping Reaper and Soldier because they outed Soldier and Reaper and him have a past together. I mean, I'm totally for that, but Reaper's like, I think 20 years. I think, are they the same age? I don't know how old Reaper is. I know that Jack is like in his 70s, but that's because he's presently in his 70s. I don't know how old Reaper is. Regardless, the skin is nice because it's just a good offset to Soldiers. I don't use it that often, but it works. Next up is Mariachi, and I like the embellishments on the edges of the coat, the sleeves. The guitar is really cool. I like the hat. I think the hat's really cute. And I like the fact that his skull is more traditionally Hispanic. I think this is a very good culturally relevant skin for him, much like with Sombra, but we'll get to her later. The only issue I have is that it just seems too samey to his normal skin, but that's what El Blanco fixes. Look at this thing. It's as if white was actually done correctly. It's mainly white, but the fringe on the end is, you know, that golden color I like. This is, again, my favorite color pattern in the game. So why is this not, like, in the top 3? Well, the main problem is that it's not unique enough. Again, Mariachi is just a recolor of this, but it works. I still think that this could have been its own standalone and been fine, but then again, people like the reskins, so what do I know? But yeah, good skin all around. Next up is Hellfire, and the reason Hellfire isn't in the top 3 is because while I like all the little embellishments, like the satanic summoning circle on the back of his cloak, and the bright, like, gradient lava thing on the back of his cloak, I just think it's a bit too orange for me, and I don't like orange. Also, while I enjoy the horns and all that, I just think that his face is a bit over-designed. Like just a little bit less fire would have helped. But hey, that's just me. Next up we have Blackwatch Reyes, and this is kind of what Soldier 24 was, but it's more unique. That's really all I gotta say about it. It's the same thing as 24, but it's more Reaper's own thing. It doesn't have the cloak that kind of goes with Soldier's younger skin, and it's just good. It has more of a personal touch to it, is what I'm gonna say. Coming in at third, we have Nevermore, and the reason Nevermore is third best is because it does what Plague Doctor couldn't do, but better. It's a coherent purplish blue. This is a better blue in my mind than what Midnight was. I like the fact that it's more coherent. The idea is a lot more solid. The eyes are really cool, and overall the concept is more realized. Plus, the name is a reference to Edgar Allan Poe's poem The Raven, which always said Nevermore, and that's a really cool reference in my mind. It's not the most subtle one in the world if you ever heard of the fucking thing or took basic 10th grade English, but it's still a good poem and still a good skin to reference that. Our runner-up is Shiva. And what makes Shiva so good is that, well, remember what I said about enchanted armor? The little touches make all the difference. The back of the cloak is snowflakes, which is appropriate. The entire thing is a purple to light to electric blue to white to just this cool overall concept. And his face does what did what Hellfire was trying to do properly, because the face is just his normal mask without any other embellishments, it's just turned black. It now lets the frostbite come over it, and it actually looks like he's risen from an Arctic grave. It's kind of like Arthas from the old League, World of Warcraft expansion. He's such a cool boss, such a cool looking idea, that it just commands your attention. And that's why it's second best. However, it did get beat out by one thing, and that is Pumpkin. Why did Pumpkin beat it? Well, Pumpkin is just such a cool idea. I mean, this is every Halloween nerd dream come true, and I hate Halloween. Much like with the witch skin from Mercy, this skin takes the idea of an old arcane fairy tale, basically, or even a horror story, this being the Headless Horseman, and makes it its own story. The Headless Horseman was a story famous for its creepiness. If you've ever seen Ichabod and Mr. Toad in the Tale of Sleepy Hollow, this is that story. The Headless Horseman was famous for not having a head because, well, he had a pumpkin on his shoulders to represent his head. This is that same concept. The guns are also really cool because, you know, they have little pumpkins in them and there's fucking candles on the end of them. That's just nice. The coat's appropriately badass. The clothes are all similar shades, but also having their own unique identity for this aesthetic, and it just works. Also, the collar being like 7 inches higher than his head is just hilarious to me. But yeah, this skin is just the best he has to offer. What can I say? Alrighty, with that said and done, my name is Chris. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do what you do, and I'll see you guys next time.
Destiny.